Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, ki jai. This is Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Today we're in chapter 16, entitled The Divine and Demoniac Natures. We will be discussing text number 9. Text number 9 is a very important verse. You might not realize it, but we'll discuss that. So first, I think to save time, I will just chant the Sanskrit myself. Etam drishtim avashtabhya nashtatmanulpa buddhayah prabhavantyugra karmanaha kshayaya jagato hitaha. Translation: following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Let's repeat this. Following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Obviously, this requires some explanation. So Srila Prabhupada provides that. But first of all, etam drishtam avashtabhya, embracing this vision, or following such conclusions. What conclusions? The conclusions of the previous text, which bears repeating. Asatyam apratishtam te jagadahuranishwaram aparasparasam bhutam kim anyat kama haitakam. They say, that is to say the demoniac, that this world is unreal with no foundation, no God in control. They say it has produced a sex desire and has no cause other than lust. There is elaborate commentary on that verse, but I assume it's already been covered, so we won't dilate on that. But this is what's being referred to today. Following that vision of life, It's described by the commentators that etam drishtim avashtabhya means drishti is used in the singular. What does drishti mean? Vision, your view. Your world view, as we say. So that's used in a collective sense to deal with the Mayavadis and the atheists and the Jains and the Lokayatas and all materialistic scientists, Buddhists, everybody all together. Because they all share these common conclusions. What are they? There's no God in control. There's nothing true here. Everything is just about fulfilling your kama, your desire. This is the dominant worldview nowadays. So let's hear what Srila Prabhupada has to say about this. Purport. The demoniac are engaged in activities that would lead the world to destruction. The Lord states here that they are less intelligent. The materialists, who have no concept of God, think that they are advancing. But according to Bhagavad-Gita, they are unintelligent and devoid of all sense. They try to enjoy this material world to the utmost limit and therefore always engage in inventing something for sense gratification. Such materialistic inventions are considered to be advancement of human civilization. But the result is that people grow more and more violent and more cruel to animals and cruel to other human beings. They have no idea how to behave toward one another. Animal killing is very prominent amongst demoniac people. Such people are considered the enemies of the world because ultimately they will invent or create something which will bring destruction to all. Indirectly, this verse anticipates the invention of nuclear weapons. There's a nice picture in case you haven't noticed. The nice picture displays this idea. Shows the whole world going up in a mushroom cloud, and all the illicit sex and all the drinking and intoxication and meat eating and gambling and other nonsensical things that are behind it are within that mushroom cloud, in the picture at least. Okay. So Prabhupada continues. Indirectly, this verse anticipates the invention of nuclear weapons, of which the whole world is today very proud. At any moment, war may take place, and these atomic weapons may create havoc. Such things are created solely for the destruction of the world, and this is indicated here. Due to godlessness, such weapons are invented in human society. They are not meant for the peace and prosperity of the world. Shri Guru Pyo Namah. Etam drishtim avashtabhya nashtatmanolpabuddhayah prabhavanti ugrakarmanah kshayaya jagato hitaha. So, first of all, it's not that these demoniac persons realize that they're demoniac persons. And secondly, because they don't realize that they're demoniac persons, they also generally don't realize that they're engaged in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. It's not that they're rubbing their hands together and laughing like fiends, plotting the destruction of the whole world. Although there are some who do that also. There are some. But the point is that to any extent, to whatever extent, anyone adopts the mentality that has been described already in text number 8, the previous verse, which we've read already. To that extent, this person must be engaged in unbeneficial, horrible works that ultimately destroy oneself and all those that one contacts. Isn't that encouraging? Do we know when we're dying? We have a small window of opportunity to do something about it. Before we're pushed on into another body, God only knows where, we have some opportunity to inquire, am I a devotee? Am I a demon? Am I even a human being? Most people in the modern world, they're engaged in animalistic propensities. And sometimes they're engaged in propensities that are even worse than animals. Because animals don't kill each other as effectively as we do. Animals have not created nuclear weapons, Srila Prabhupada uses. What's another favorite one? Cell phones. Everybody wants their cell phone. In India, if you want to sell a cell phone, you have to advertise that this phone takes the best selfies. Is it not? It's correct, isn't it? I've seen the billboards. I've seen it personally. So, cell phones, everybody's intoxicated, and they're meant for that very purpose. They're designed to be addicting. And what they don't tell you is that, as one former CIA contractor said, these smartphones, they happen to be very sophisticated surveillance devices that happen to also make phone calls. If you live in the People's Republic of China, for example, and especially if you explicitly manifest your faith in a very social manner, public manner, then you will be very quietly removed from that society and placed in a detention camp. You know about this? In Western China. It's basically what we used to call ethnic cleansing about 20 or 30 years ago in the Baltic states. Every few years, the same propensity raises its ugly head. A few years before that, Adolf Hitler did the same thing in Nazi Germany, wanted to eliminate all the Jews. So Li Jinping, without mentioning any names, Li Jinping, again, would like to eliminate all Muslims from Western China. And he's very effectively carrying out a program to do that, and the cell phone has a lot to do with that. Because through the cell phone, you can track a person's every move. You can even follow a person's every conversation. Have you noticed that you've had a conversation about something and the next day you see an ad on your cell phone advertising the very thing that you've been talking about? Asatyama pratishtam te jagadahuranishwaram. There's no controller here, right? It's all happening by chance, right? No. What to speak of the supreme controllers, there are even, relatively speaking, small controllers who are very eagerly, assiduously making every design to control every waking and sleeping moment of our lives. And we don't even know about it yet, until it's too late. There are people in this world who are so intoxicated by Maya that they don't realize that the train is coming until they're flat underneath it. So, avashtabhya. This is the first thing. Etam drishtim avashtabhya. What does avashtabhya mean? हिंदी में ये शब्द होता है स्तब्ध. स्तब्ध का मतलब क्या है? स्तब्ध. Stunned? Okay, that's okay. What else? Stubborn. Stubborn. Yes. Actually, it means ava is the upasarga, and then the verbal root is stubbed, which means to fix something, to support something, to establish something, to hold fast to something. This is where the idea of stubbornness comes in. So if you hold fast to these ideas, that there's no God, that I can do anything that I want, that life is just meant for fulfilling my desires, that I'm independent, all these things, I don't have to listen to the Shastra or the Gurus or the Sadhus, then this is called avashtabhya. Etam drishtim avashtabhya. Ramanujacharya, as well as Madhusudan Saraswati, famous commentators on Bhagavad-Gita, they gloss this word avashtabhya as avalambya, taking support of these philosophies. Baladev Vidyabhushan, as well as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they say alambya, which means as much as the same thing, just a little bit more maybe. So if you're taking support from these ideals, or if you're supporting these ideals, this is another thing. If you're sympathetic supporter, then you're in the same category. Swachandacharaha mahanaraka mahanarakino bhavanti ityaho. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, very interesting point he mentions. Anybody who adopts these ideas or ideals, that person is basically hell-bound, and that person will demonstrate one or more of these qualifications. What are the qualifications of these? What are we calling them here? Ahitas? Ahita. Hita. Hit ka matlab kya hai? Hit. To do something good for someone else. Ahita. He doesn't have your interest. Again, to pick on cell phones, we think that the cell phone can do anything we want, but the persons who design these things and operate these things, they think that we do anything they want. You see? Ahita. They're not thinking of your interests. This is the point. So in this world, everybody's like that, actually. To the degree that we embrace, or avashtapya, hold fast, or support, or cherish, or establish these demoniac ideals that God doesn't matter, just chill out, don't worry about it. Forget about the Shastra, this is outdated thing, bhajan nonsense, old-fashioned, So to the extent that we embrace these ideals, then to that extent we are hell-bound in these ways. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he points out, some of them are nashtatmanaha, some of them are alpa buddhis, some of them are ugra karnamanas. 3 categories. Nashtatmana, what does it mean? You've destroyed yourself. Destroyed, not lost. Destroyed. Nashta. You've destroyed yourself. That's the second category. Alpa buddha. You have very meager intelligence. And number 3, ugra karnama. Therefore, you're engaged in really pungent activities, really ugly, sinful kinds of things that are not very nice. Let's fine-tune this, because the acharyas have given us their comments here. Ramanujacharya glosses the word nashtatmana as adrishta dehati riktamana. That means he have the mentality, or he considers himself to be something. He's unable to see that he is separate from his body. This is the idea. Adrishta deha atirikta atma. He cannot see that he is separate from the body. Baladev Vidyabhushan says, adrishta dehadi viviktatmana. Viviktatma tattva. He also is unable to see the truth of the spirit soul as being distinct from the body and other things as well. Because it's not just the body, is it? What's the famous verse? Dehapatya naraka, what is it? Karatradishu. Once we embrace this demoniac ideal that I'm going to be independent of God, then we have to also embrace the things that Krishna has mentioned in this chapter that absorb the person who is turned away from God. We have to embrace a godless ideology to support our position. We have to embrace godless activities that really don't help us or anyone else. And the main thing that makes the world go around, what makes the world go around? What is the saying they say? What makes the world go round? Love makes the world go round. But we know in Krishna consciousness, is it really love? No, it's kama. Kama haitakam. I love yogurt. I love New York. I love my dog. I love so many things. We use this word love so cheaply. We don't know what love is. No experience of love in this world. So adrishta dehadi. Deha. First is the deha. That is because you need some sort of self-reference. You need a false ego, don't you? So the body supplies that. I am this body. Aham. Aham mameti. And the body has its own set of needs. Just like sometimes people get married. Most of the time people get married. What do they find out when they get married? Oh, she wants so many things. So the body is like that. Deha, apatya, kalatra, adishu. Adi means etc. in Sanskrit. You have the wife, you have the house, and it doesn't end there, the children, honge. And what else? Then you have to maintain your prestige, and there must be adequate bank balance. Means you have to work hard, and you've got to pay bills, and you've got to make insurance payments. And what happened? We were enjoying with Krishna in the spiritual world, and look at us now. So this is deha, dehadi viviktatma tattva. This they don't see, adrishta. Balavidabhushan says. What else does nashtatma mean? Bhrashta paraloka sadhana, Madhusudan Saraswati says. Very interesting. It means bhrashta paraloka sadhana. His every practice for attaining the next world is finished. It's destroyed. He has no scope for attaining anything auspicious after death. People who take shelter of these demoniac views, they are completely absorbed in sense gratification for this life only. And at the end of life, what happens? What happens? How do you die? Everybody is going to end up in a hospital bed, elevated 30 degrees, next to a beeping pool. And you've got to do something about that. You're going to lose your independence. You're going to lose all of your assets. You're going to lose everything that is near and dear to you, everything for which you've sacrificed all your efforts in this life, and it's all gone. And what happens next? No idea. Therefore, he says, Bhrashta paraloka sadhana. His every practice for attaining the next life finished. This is nashta, atma, destroyed. What did we say in the beginning? Prabhupada says here, lost to themselves, destroyed. The atma is destroyed, practically speaking. Sridhar Swami, what does he say? Nashtatma, what does it mean to him? Malina chitta. Your consciousness is infected. Infected impure mind. Everybody here has a completely pure mind? Raise your mind if your hand is completely pure. Raise your hand if you're... Yeah, we know. We all have so many impurities in our minds, isn't it? What do you dream about at night? That's a good indicator, isn't it? That's an indicator of what your subtle body can... Malina chitta, Sridhar Swami says. This is his idea, nashtatma. Yourself, your soul is lost if your mind is infected. Why? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajanti ante kalevaram tam tam ivaiti. Whatever your mind is thinking, is absorbed in, the word is used in the 5th canto, karnamatmaka. What does Prabhupada translate it? Colored with fruit of activities. Colored with fruit of activities. Our minds are colored. You see? Okay, so nashtatmana, that's one category. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, you may be in that category. What's another category? Alpa buddhi. Very meager intelligence. Again, we have different opinions here. Ramanujacharya gives a very interesting one. He says, Ghatadivat jnaya bhute dehe jatritvena deha vyatirikta atma nopalabhyate iti vivek akushalaha. His discrimination is not very expert, akushala. Why? Because he doesn't apprehend, na upalabhyate, ki the atma is different from the body. Why do we know that the atma is different from the body? Ghatadivat gyeya bhute dehe jatritvena. Because you exist apart from such things as pots and other things that are created and destroyed. You know that you're distinct from these things. Our consciousness is not dependent upon this material body, even though it's manifest through the material body. And this is why Krishna has already given way back in the beginning. What example? Komaram, Yovanam, Jara, ityadi. We were babies once. Anyone here was not a baby? Raise your hand. Yes, we were all babies. Do you remember that vividly? No. But you were definitely there. The body is the same body, in a sense. It's a different body in another sense. But the consciousness was the same. Consciousness is there. Kaumanam, Yovanam, Jara. As we approach old age, then we see, I am the same person. In fact, if we're not carefully cultivating Krishna consciousness, we may retain the same desires that we had in our Yovana stage. There's nothing in life but a succession of stages. Which one is real? Which one matters? Which one is the real you? Which one do you get to take with you? Kuch nahi. Therefore he says, Ekucha malum karna. What is happening? Where are you coming from? Where are you going? And this is the idea. So, some people are just unable to apprehend that. It's too subtle for them, Ramanujacharya says. Therefore they're called Viveka Akushala. They're just not expert enough in seeing things as discriminating. Sridhar Swami adds, Drishtarta Matramati. They hit their heads, their intelligence is limited to whatever they can see. We have a seeing is believing, right? This is the muhavara in English. Seeing is believing, but it's not, especially in an age of Photoshop. Nothing you see on the internet is believable anymore, isn't it? It's full of fake news. It's even full of fake clips. Video clips are all fake. Yeah, it's possible. So now you can't believe anything you see. But a person whose intelligence is limited to what he can see, Sridhar Swami says, that person is called, for that reason, Alpa Buddhi. The intelligence is limited to that realm. Our intelligence can expand beyond what we can see. This is the implication. But if we don't do that, then Alpa Buddhi. We remain Alpa Buddhis. Madhusudan Saraswati says similarly, Drishta matro desha pravittam matayaha. Those persons whose minds are engaged exclusively with the exclusive intention of focusing on what they can see. That kind of implies some volition, doesn't it? Why is your intelligence limited to this? Because you want it to be limited. You don't want to see things that are not consistent with the goal that you've chosen in your life. If you have taken this, what we heard from Srila Prabhupada, what Prahlad Maharaj calls the Griha Vrata. Nothing against householders, I am a householder. But Griha Vrata, if we have taken the vow that I'm going for sense gratification and that's my main thing, then we have a problem. And this is implied here by Madhusudan Saraswati. Baladev Vidyabhushan instead puts it very simply. What does he say? Tuchamati. They're just not so smart. As my brother used to say, he's not the brightest bulb on the chandelier. So, Alpa Buddhi. That's the second category. What's the third category? Ugra Karmanaha. They're engaged in Ugra Karma. What is this Ugra Karma? Ramanujacharya says, Sarvesham Hingsakaha. They're cruel to everybody. They mistreat and abuse everyone else. Everybody says pretty much the same thing on this. Sridhar Swami, Hingsram Karma, same idea. Their activities are cruel. Madhusudan Saraswati, Hingsa, same. Hingsa, Baladev Vidyabhushan says more than that. Hingsa Paishunya Parashyadi Karma Nishtha. They're fixed in activities that have these characteristics. What? They're violent, they're slanderous, and they are insulting others. Hingsa Paishunya Parashyadi Karma Nishtha. Those persons are called Ugra Karma. Do we have these characteristics? Yes, we do. If we're honest, we can see. If we're willing to see, then the buddhi will be expanded such that we do see by Krishna's grace. This is what happens when we chant seriously every day, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What is the first thing that happens? The first thing is that this is a great relief. My life was so pungent before, and now it's getting a little bit stable and peaceful. And you think I'm okay, but hote you begin to see, wait a minute, I've got a lot, I have to shape up. I have a lot of work to do. I've got so many anartas. Especially if you live in Vrindavan, there's nowhere to hide. Everything is put in front of your face. You've got to do something about it. By whose grace is this? Srimati Radharani. Shri Radhe ki jai. Or her representatives. Usually she's working through her representatives. And when we chant seriously, what does Krishna say? Shrinvatam sukatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridi antasthoya bhadrani. These are all abhadras, what we're talking about. Vidhunoti srhipsatam. If we're honest, serious and sincere. These are the two adjectives of Prabhupada's favorite adjectives. You have to be serious, you have to be sincere. Bhagavatam calls this suhrit satam. Suhrit means you have to be well motivated, and sat means you have to be honest. If you're honest and well motivated and you're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and following this process every day, then it's a fact that gradually you will see that I have so many anartas that have to be dealt with. And if we just continue the process, those anartas will be dealt with. How will they be dealt with? They will be removed. What happens if you cling to those anartas? You will also be removed along with them. This is the nature of bhakti. You will also be removed along with them. Therefore, we have to be very humble and take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Because Krishna's devotees are even kinder than Krishna. So, these are the three types of enemies. This is the next word. Ahitaha. Baladev Vidyabhushan, Madhusudan Saraswati, they both agree. Ahita means Shatravaha, Shatru, enemies. Anybody who has embraced these ideals, anybody who supports them, tries to establish them, etc. All the different, we went through all the different nuances of the word avashtabhya, very key word in this verse. Anybody who does that, then it's understood this person is an enemy. What does Sridhar Swami say? Similarly, this person is not Shatru, but this person is Vairi. Vairinaha. What does Vairi mean? Envious. Vair. Vair means, enemy you can also say, because you can't be an enemy unless you're envious. So, and then what is the conclusion here? Prabhavanti. Have we heard this word, Prabhavanti? When did we hear this word? So many places. We heard it this morning, my friends, in the Srimad Bhagavatam class. If you're very attentive, you're listening. That's Canto 9, Chapter 4, Text 25. What did it say there? Prabhavanti. The desires, worldly desires of a devotee, they do not flourish. What does prabhavanti mean? This is interesting because we have some different definitions here. Normally, the word is bhu. Bhu is a verb. Bhavanti, to be. If you put pra, this is another prefix. Prabhu means to. It means to flourish, or to prevail, to conquer, to be equal to someone or something, to increase, to nurture, to cherish. Quite a few different connotations here. Prabhavanti. So I'm not going to repeat this morning's class, but the idea was that all the materialistic desires that characterize worldly existence, they don't conquer a devotee. They don't prevail within devotees. They don't flourish among devotees. They're not equal to Krishna consciousness. They don't increase. They're not nurtured, and we don't cherish them. These are all the different nuances of meaning. Now, what does it mean in this verse? Ahita prabhavanti. According to Sridhar Swami, it means udbhavanti. Udbhavanti. What does that mean? Udbhu. They come about. These men are born to destroy the world, as it were. Prabhavanti, ahita. These enemies who are Nashtatmas, Alpabuddhas, and Ugrakarmis, these persons are as if born to destroy this world. That is the extent of the destruction that they wreak on this world. Think about some of the world leaders right now, snarling at one another, barely able to contain World War III to the economic and political realms and technological and commercial realms, barely able to keep it out of the military realms nowadays. But it's going on, whether it's Russia or China or the United States or others. Iran now that is very enthusiastically pursuing nuclear power, which they have consistently denied is meant for weapons, just as North Korea consistently denied that they were producing weapons. See? Therefore, Prabhupada mentions nuclear power in his purport. This is exactly the kind of invention created by stupid people. This is a fair translation of the word alpa-buddhi. Stupid people who are nashtatma, have lost themselves, destroyed themselves, and who are engaged in ugra karma. This nuclear weapons is a good example of this ugra karma. Therefore, they're shatrus, they're vairis, they're envious enemies. So they flourish or they're born, Sridhar Swami says. Madhusudana Saraswati says the same thing. Utpadyante means exactly the same thing. They come about. Most others don't really touch that. But this is the idea. Kshayaya. What does kshayaya mean? Kshayaya. Yeah, for the destruction, for the ruination of the world. And here, only Baladev Bhushan really says anything about this. He says, Paramartad jagat bhrashayanti ityarthaha. The world is destroyed for the purposes of self-realization. For all spiritual intents and purposes, the world is destroyed by these things. This is the important thing. Very, very important thing. Is there a better way to say this? Paramarthat jagat bhrangshayati. You understand? How do we say this in English?
Destroy. Yeah, the highest purpose is to destroy the world.
No, it's not for the purpose.
Destroyed for the purpose of self-realization.
I want to say that bhrangshayat is ruined from the purpose of self. It's led away astray from the purpose of self-realization. This is the idea. In other words, it makes it very difficult to become Krishna conscious. Dharma is such a thing. It is symbiotic. Unless everybody does their dharma, nobody can do their dharma very easily. It creates problems for the rest of us. That is why they're called ahitas. They're not working for our benefit. They're working against us. About 20 or 25 years ago, I was living in Seattle, Washington. This was in the heyday of the Microsoft Corporation. And it was also when they were having World Trade Organization meetings. World Trade Organization would be the oligarchs and business magnates and politicians and other kind of leader types. They all get together and decide what direction they want to take the world in. And I noticed that there were many, many, many people demonstrating against these meetings for some reason. Very unpopular in America. They were actually so unpopular that there were riots. A little bit like we're seeing in Hong Kong nowadays. I was in downtown Seattle and I saw tanks rolling through the streets of Seattle, Washington. This is unthinkable in America, but I saw this. And at the same time, I was hearing some of the Islamic terrorists saying the same things that these anti-globalist demonstrators were saying. We like to portray them as paranoid or crackpots or whatever you want to, many labels you can think of, but actually there are some things that they have recognized. And one of them is that there are a small group of highly powerful individuals in this world who are able to do things that make life difficult for the rest of us. We've already given the example of nuclear weapons. There are so many others, as Prabhupada says in his purport. They try to enjoy this material world to the utmost limit and therefore always engage in inventing something for sense gratification. Such materialistic inventions are considered to be advancement of human civilization, but the result is that people will grow more and more violent and more cruel to animals and cruel to other human beings. They have no idea how to behave towards one another. This is the result, Krishna says. Very strong words. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has told us regarding this verse, this is the beginning, first of 11 verses, from text 9 all the way up to text number 20. Krishna is talking about the same class of people. Again, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, some of them are lost to themselves, and some of them are of paltry intelligence, and some of them are engaged in horrible things that destroy the rest of us, and some of them are all three in one. But it's very important to pay attention to these instructions from Krishna, because we have to know where we stand. What is our mentality? What are our values? What are our activities? Where are we going? What are we doing while we can? So in the next, as I said, next 10 verses after this one, there's quite a bit of elaboration that Krishna gives to describe what are the characteristics that, really expose these people. And we have to look at ourselves and understand, where do we stand. It's an interesting thing. This chapter is called the Divine and Demoniac Natures. There are 4 verses in the beginning that talk about the divine nature, and the rest of the chapter deals with the demoniac nature. It's a little bit telling, isn't it? Okay, so these are just a few things that we can think about. I'm trying to share some of the insights into this particular verse that have been given by our predecessors. If anybody has any comments or any questions, we can deal with those now. Yes.
Describe the danger of this.
Yeah, because there are people on the internet or radio.
Hare Krishna. I think my voice is louder than you describe the dangers of the cell phones. I always had this bad feeling about cell phones. I only have a Nokia because nowadays it's compulsory to have a mobile. All landlines are disconnected or something. They don't work.
It's kind of like cashless economy, isn't it?
Yes, something like that. Every step you do, they want to trace.
Especially in China. I mean, if you read up on this, it's shocking the things that they're doing. Every little thing. And they're keeping score. Yeah, they have a credit score. Everybody has personal credit score in China. You get points taken off, then all your facilities are restricted. And you can only lead a nice life if you're pleasing to the Communist Party. That's how it works there.
Now, my question is how to save oneself from these kind of gadgets, because I suppose you can maybe confirm this or deny this. They might be even radiating bionic waves through which you are locked in your meditation. Is it or is it not? I remember when the first cell phones came out, there were people, Russian businessman who had a tumor in the shape of a mobile in their head because they were using constantly for the Dow Jones.
We don't really know the long-term effects of these things, but one thing that my Ayurvedic physician told me was that the main cause of increased pitta in an individual is electromagnetic frequencies, which are virtually everywhere, courtesy of these cell towers. It's an interesting thing. If you read Mahabharata, I forget the section exactly, I believe it's Yudhishthir Maharaj, who had a vision of the Kali Yuga, and at the end of the Kali Yuga, it's described there are towers everywhere. Just like in Vrindavan, the cell towers are higher than the temple shikharas, is it not? They dwarf the temples, these cell towers. There are some places in this country, believe it or not, where unscrupulous companies have built their cell towers on top of the temple shikharas or gopurams. When the government is not vigilant, that's what happens. Anyway, have you finished your question?
How to save oneself from this?
Who is your spiritual master?
Nobody through Islam.
Okay. Well, I know that Radhanath Swami, he keeps a notebook. That's all. He doesn't have a computer. He doesn't have a cell phone. Certainly not a smartphone. It's possible to function in that way, although it's not easy. People have done it for hundreds of years. Our acharyas have written better books than we can write, and that was before any of this stuff existed. We're being dumbed down as Kali Yuga progresses. One thing I've seen in the commentaries of our acharyas in Sanskrit, the older you go, the shorter the commentary. The later in history you come, the longer the commentary has to be. Why is that? Because things that used to be clear to everyone are no longer clear to us. And Prabhupada's purports are the longest of all, because we don't know anything. I mean, even here in India, you can go to Delhi and you can see Indians and they don't look like Indians. Why don't they look like Indians? Because they don't act like Indians, and they don't eat like Indians, and therefore they don't think like Indians, and they don't even talk like Indians. There's one man in Delhi I know, 70 years old, but he's from a westernized Punjabi family, and he can't read or write his own matrabhasha. So, one generation of neglect like that, and you wipe out at least 2,000 or 3,000 years of cumulative history and culture and wisdom and spirituality. So check out. That's one way to do it. If you want to do it, it's up to you. Just check out. You understand what I mean?
No. What do you mean by check out?
Like checking out of a hotel.
Oh, okay. I'll be checked out.
Just close the account.
Yes, I already gave up, and I don't have these things with these apps. I have just an Nokia, like I said.
It is possible. Whether we want to do it or not, that is another question. As I said, these things are designed to addict us. That is the very purpose, is to addict us. You've got psychologists working around the clock to figure out how to addict you. So we're thinking that these things are called pavrikshas, but the fruit is poisonous.
That would mean that we need more communities.
Well, if you want to open up that, that's a big topic that Prabhupada was stressing increasingly in his later years. He did not want us to fit into the modern society, because the modern society is hell-bound in the ways that we've been describing. He wanted us to have an alternative society. And he was prepared in 1977 to come and teach us personally how to do it. Hands-on training. But he didn't make it that far. He got as far as London, and then he had to come back and he left this world. But Prabhupada was very, very serious about that, and we are not. Period. Any other questions?
Small comment that we can. Small comment that we can use all these things to make Please Krishna Kaushik also, which is very effective.
This is another realization that I had when I was in Seattle at the same point in time. In Seattle, they have a very good system of public transportation. Now in Delhi, we also have metro. So, I'm thinking that why am I keeping this car and paying insurance payments every month, and I don't really need to use it that much, and even when I do use it, is it only for Krishna? We have to think like this. And instead I'm patronizing all these people who are working around the clock to erase our country and our beliefs and our ideals in the form of terrorists. Muslim terrorists in particular. When you purchase gasoline, that's where it's coming from. I don't know about here in India, but in America, that's where it comes from. So, we have to think. The idea is that we can use everything in Krishna service, but how often do we actually do that?
I would like to say practical way I implement it. I have my Gita groups in my language, Hindi, and which helps me to cultivate those people who are cultivating, to give those Gita tutorials to them. And they hear it and they become very enhanced. They
Yeah. No, it's Prabhupada also. The principle is yukta vairagya. If you see such a thing that can be used for sense gratification and you give it up because you don't see how it can be employed in Krishna consciousness, then that is called Phalgu Vairagya. We heard this also this morning. On the other hand, if you don't see, if you do see the utility of something for Krishna's purpose and you don't use it, then it's not very good. So in some sense, Prabhupada did not tell us to sell all of our cars and quit our jobs and do extreme things like that.
He says in the first canto that technology can be used for hearing and chanting about Krishna.
Well, more importantly, technology can be used for broadcasting Krishna consciousness. This is the point. It is a tremendous asset in that sense, but we just have to be careful. Prabhupada said you have to catch the fish without getting wet. You see, you understand. The meaning is clear, I think. Okay, anything else?
Prabhu, as the obstacles are coming, we are just like we are devotees and still the demonic nature is within us. So sometimes it manifested as demonic activities even though we don't want. I don't want to fight with you, but unnecessarily something happens and I start fighting with you. So how this can be controlled?
We have to be patient. We have to be determined. We have to minimize our mundane association. We have to be well guided and follow the process very carefully. There are six things that Rupa Goswami suggests. Let's turn off our cell phones. Utsahan nishchayat dhairyat tat karma praratanaat sangatyagat sato vritte. Sato vritti is an important one. Means you have to lead a clean, honest life. Your material life has to be purified. This is largely lost on most of us. We think either that we don't have a material life or we think that our material life is okay. But it's not okay. And it has to be purified. So the way to purify our material lives are to follow the conventions and the instructions and the examples that have been left for us by our great predecessors, previous acharyas. That's called sato vritte. If you purify your existence, this is the idea, then it becomes much easier to do the other 5 things. And hote, as we're doing this, we become purified. But we have to be patient because it will take time. It's not overnight. Is that okay? Anything else? Yeah.
I was just going to make another comment about the mobiles. I think parents of young children have to be really careful because of all the pornography.
Yeah. Actually, there have been studies done that show that the number one use of the internet is not preaching Krishna consciousness. It's not even innocuous material affairs. It's pornography, believe it or not. In case you didn't believe that love makes the world go round, you can study the statistics yourself. So yeah, we have to be careful about that. That's why they have the lock features and so many ways to control that. Try to control that data. It's impossible, actually. But sometimes people try to do that. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.